Hello, Mr. Mark. How you been doing today? Hello?
Didn't work?
Of course it's working. Hello, Mr.
Perfect.
Mark. How you been doing today?
Excellent. Excellent.
Perfect. So we've been doing presentations on regular basis, and you are educating and providing so much value. And I'm very, very thankful for such opportunity and to share with everybody who are interested about anything related to the businesses and improving their skills, right? Because whatever you are providing, that value you're providing is applicable to any human being I can imagine. And I believe it doesn't matter if they are real estate investors, if they are business people, if they, mommy and papi and please guys listen to Mr. Mark and what we are going to cover today. Would you mind just telling more about the topic covered today?
Yeah, I appreciate that introduction, Jarek, because in the end, that's what I really believe. I believe that when we take care of the fundamentals in life, we take care of every area of life. So I'm going to be talking about real estate investing today and the responsibility that you need to take for your own results. Having said that, this applies to relationships. This applies to every area of your life. Like you said, business. I was talking with a millionaire, multimillionaire this morning, and he was talking about how these things apply to him just as much as they apply to everyone else. So yes, absolutely. This is a topic that I know will have good implications for your lives.
And what we are going to cover today?
Specifically taking responsibility for your results. So again, lots of skills, and you need lots of skills. Responsibility is not the only skill you need to learn in real estate or success in any way. Having said that, it's really, really important. And the people who take responsibility for their own results are in control of their own results. That's a big deal.
So let's jump it in. Simple as that.
Sounds good. I'm going to turn my screen share on.
Just for everybody to know that this presentation will be recorded and it will be available in audio and video format also, right?
Yeah. So do you see this?
Not yet.
Okay, should come up quickly. Nothing yet, Jarek?
Perfect.
Good.
Perfect.
All right. So yes, I'm going to focus on taking responsibility for your own results. And like I said before, this is key, not only to real estate, also to business, also to finances, also to relationships, also to think of an area of life. Taking responsibility makes a difference. I'm going to start off with a quote here. Earl Nightingale said, "I don't believe in luck." And if you know me, you've heard this quote before, okay? I don't believe in luck. Luck is when preparedness meets opportunity, and opportunity is there all the time. So this is what I want you to do as you're listening to this webinar, watching this webinar. What I want you to do is think about what is your reaction to this statement. What emotions come up as you think about the statement or as I read it? If you have a strong negative reaction to these words, this will be a very important lesson to pay attention to. Okay? So pay attention to this webinar if you have a strong negative reaction to this. I'm going to give an example where people think luck exists and really it doesn't, long term. Poker is a perfect example. Now listen, I'm not a poker king. I'm not great at this game. Having said that, I have played a little bit and I'm fascinated by the game because it's psychological. Most people believe poker is about luck. Poker stars play the odds and become fantastic at reading and interacting with people. And this is what happens. These masters win tournament after tournament, not because of their cards, but because of the way they play their cards and the way they interact with other people. Long-term, masters at this game, masters at poker, will win money because of their practiced skills, not luck. And so there are movies, right? I think Maverick was a good movie about this, where it's a movie about somebody who gets lucky cards in the end, and that's how they win. And that's what people believe. And in the same way, most people believe, in our culture, most people believe that being good in real estate investing, having money, whatever, that it's about luck, because that's the way sometimes it's presented in media. Nothing could be further from the truth. Now, I want to talk about, this is a graphic image, okay? So I'm not presenting this to make light of something. I'm being serious about this. I'm going to talk about an external locus of control or an internal locus of control. So basically, that's psychobabble. That means you feel in control of your life or you feel out of control. Okay? So an external locus of control, when you feel out of control, it means you don't believe it matters what you do. Because no matter what you do, you are this puppet. And other people are controlling you and you'll end up failing anyway. Okay? Or because fate is always stronger than choice. Maybe you believe that fate is stronger than choice. Yeah, you have some choice, but really it's fate that makes the biggest difference in your life. Or maybe you believe people in power will always get their way, and those like you will always be taken advantage. Or maybe you believe that the economy is in control. Or maybe you believe that some, government official is in control, or your boss is in control, or somebody else is in control. That's when you have that idea. What you're saying is that what controls my life is outside of me. And that is absolutely false. What controls your life is inside. So let's get into internal locus of control. An internal locus of control, or feeling in control of your own life, means that you believe you make your own luck. I'm going to repeat that. Feeling like you're in control in life means that you believe you make your own luck. Now, this doesn't mean that luck doesn't exist. Yes, there are odds. And yes, every once in a while, if you've got a 1% odd of something happening, it will happen. Okay? That can happen. People do win the lottery or whatever. Having said that, over a long period of time, your results will never be based on luck. They'll always be based on your preparation. Okay? So if you don't succeed and you believe you're in control, you know you could have done something different. You could have done something better. I've come off of sales calls. I've come off of negotiations where I've talked with somebody, and at the end, I didn't get what I wanted. And I realized, you know what? If I could have said this one thing differently, or if I could have connected with this person, or if I could have shown this person how this product or service really did meet their needs, they would have gone with me instead of somebody else who might not meet their needs. And that's on me. That's my responsibility. Now, here's something that's really cool about feeling like you're in control or having an internal locus of control. Mistakes are okay. When you feel in control, mistakes are okay because you can learn from them and do better next time. I'm going to repeat this whole thing. This is a really important statement. When you're in control, when you have control of your results, mistakes are okay. Failure is okay because you can learn from them and change something in the future. If you're out of control, if you're not in control of what's going on, you're in trouble because it means you can't do anything differently. No wonder people are depressed. No wonder why people aren't doing the things that they need to do. So I want to talk about confidence for a little while. Your confidence in yourself and your abilities is directly related to how much control you have in life. Okay, when you have a lot of confidence in yourself and your abilities, then you will be in more control. All right. In real estate, I'm going to ask a question about real estate investing. In real estate investing, do you believe all the great deals are already taken? Do you believe that? Do you believe that the once in a lifetime deal is never going to happen to you? Or do you believe that maybe even if a good deal did come up, people would probably sell to somebody else before you got there? If that's what you think, if you really believe that, then you really struggle with confidence. You don't feel you have control. And not feeling in control is going to have drastic negative impacts in your life, okay? Specifically with real estate investing. So how about money? Let's talk about money for a second. With money, maybe you lean more to believing that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And you are poor, so you don't have a chance. Or maybe you believe that if you learn what you need to, you can have great business or financial success as well. Okay? You simply need to do what other business or other successful people do. So which camp do you fall in? Do you fall into the camp where real estate investing, all the good deals are gone? Or do you fall into the camp of like, if I do what I need to do on a consistent basis, I will have great deals this year. I will get that joint venture partner, that money partner. I will be able to work on my business rather than in my business. Or again, with money, do you believe that rich get poor, rich get richer, poor get poorer, and I have no chance because I'm poor? Or do you believe that if you do what you need to do, if you learn what you need to learn, you are going to be successful, just as other successful people are? I want you to ask yourself a question right now. The question is it more important to grow and change and adapt? Or is it more important to stay safe? I'm going to repeat this question. I'm repeating a few things here today. Ask yourself right now, is it more important to grow and change and adapt? Or is it more important to stay safe? The way you answer that question, it basically tells me whether you are going to succeed in real estate. It tells me whether you are going to succeed in business. Because if you believe it's more important to stay safe, deep down, I'm not talking about logically. I'm saying like legitimately, what do you act on every day? If you believe it's more important to stay safe, guess what? You are not going to be safe in the end. The people who tries to be the safest in the end is the one who ends up setting themselves up for failure, up for the big failure at the end. Okay, here's an assignment. Try to find one person who is really successful. I'm talking super successful, and they're truthfully only lucky. They can attribute all their success to luck. They don't exist. You may find 1 out of 10,000 people or 1 out of 100,000 people where luck has played a major role in their development. I was having this conversation with somebody a little while back, and they said to me, well, Mark, what about professional athletes? You've got to be in the right place at the right time to get noticed because everything is, there's so many politics in sports. And I said, that's not true at all. If you prepare, if you do what you need to do as an athlete to get noticed, then when you have the opportunity, you will have the chance to be noticed then. And if you have that opportunity 5 times, you'll be noticed on one of those opportunities. Okay. In the same way in real estate investing, if you're prepared, you understand how to negotiate, you understand how to meet other people's needs, you understand how to bring them value, then when you meet those people that are ready, they're going to go with you rather than somebody else. 2/3 of the people who win the lottery are broke within 2 years. Almost 70% of people who win the lottery are broke within 2 years. Why is this? They got lucky, right? The reason that is that the people who win and keep their money are usually people who have a decent understanding of money already and are part of large or part of large office pools or whatever, right? They often the people that do best when they do get lucky are those who have already prepared. The people who haven't prepared are the ones who look really unlucky. There was one person who won the lottery and lost it. There's a really famous story of someone, I think they won it 3 times. And lost it 3 times. You don't want to be that person. And the difference is not luck. The difference is preparedness. So let's go to the next slide here. I want to teach you how to own your own results. So many people don't want to take responsibility because they believe it will imply fault. People believe that, well, if I take responsibility for my results, that means that I did something wrong. Listen, fault and responsibility are 2 different things. Something might not be your fault, but you still have to take responsibility for it. So let's talk about real estate investing again. The economy could be downtrending or uptrending or stagnant. You might have money or you might not have money. And you know what? That might not be your fault that the economy is in a certain place. But it is your responsibility to act in this economy to help yourself. Okay? Fault and responsibility aren't the same thing. Not everything is your fault, but everything is your responsibility. If you hit someone with your car, it may not be your fault, right? It might not be your fault, but it will be your responsibility to take care of it right there. If a tenant moves out without warning you or trashes your property, it isn't completely your fault, but it is your responsibility to deal with it. Listen carefully. The decisions you make will have consequences, and you are responsible for those consequences as well. Okay? The decisions you make will have consequences. You are responsible for the consequences as well. Okay? Now, you might argue, no, it's the person's responsibility that left the mess. It's the person's responsibility that left without warning, the midnight moving tenant or whatever. Now, this is what I'm going to say. You are completely right, and you are completely wrong. I'm going to ask you a question. Who lives a more satisfied life? Is it the person who waits for others to take responsibility and is angry when with their neighbors until they do? Or is it the person who cleans things up and moves on with their life? I've talked with people who've lived years angry at somebody else, or angry at the economy, or angry at something else in life. My parents were this way, or this happened, or this happened. Listen to me. You cannot blame other people for where you're at. It might be the fault of somebody else in some ways, but you have responsibility of what you're going to do with it today. So if you have a mess in your yard, if you are in bad financial situation, if you only have 1 property or 5 properties and 10 properties and you want more, that's your responsibility. Might not be your fault where you're at, but it is your responsibility to take action, okay? Do not be a slave to other people's decisions or situations and circumstances around you. I want you to realize that you are already making decisions each and every day. Even if you choose to do nothing or not take action, choosing to not take action is a type of action. That is a type of choice, okay? Choosing to do nothing is doing nothing. It's active. And it's something that will make a big difference in your life, okay? You cannot escape making a choice. We don't choose. I'm going to try to bring this home again. We don't choose events that have happened in our lives. We don't choose the downtrending economy or the death of loved ones or failure of various types or where we were born and grew up or our parents or being punched in the face or being bullied or a divorce. Often that's not something that we thought about and went, this is what I want in life. Okay? Now, is there some responsibility in that for you too? Sure, there might be some responsibility in certain areas there. Having said that, that's what exists. Forget about living in the past and thinking about what's wrong or what's going on. Choose to live in the present and ask yourself, what am I going to do now about it? We do choose what we will do with our circumstances. We do choose what we will do with our current situation. You are responsible for absolutely everything that happens in your life. Now, here's maybe the biggest question I'm going to ask today. Do you want more control in your life? And listen, I'm going to allow you to think through this, okay? So I'll ask it again. And I'm going to pause. I want you to think about this seriously. Not tritely. Most people would say, oh yeah, I do. No, think about this because there's a price, there's a cost to having more control, okay? Do you want more control in your life? If so, if you answered yes, the answer is you need to start taking more responsibility. So let's jump into this, okay? If you don't take responsibility or feel in control about anything in life, what do you do when things go wrong? For those who don't take responsibility, when something goes wrong, now they don't have a lot of choices. Their choices are now limited to things like they can complain and whine or pray for an act of God or luck. That's why people buy lottery tickets. That's why if you are waiting for the next get-rich-quick scheme, that's not real estate investing, by the way. Get rich quick. It's about working hard and building a portfolio. Can you do it in a short amount of time? Yeah, it depends on how much you're willing to work for it. But having said that, if you don't believe you're in control or don't feel like you want to take responsibility, your only choices are to whine about the government or whine about the economy or whine about real estate or why it doesn't work for everyone or whatever, okay? Or like I said, pray for an act of God. Know that you will never achieve anything of value if you do not learn responsibility. So here's a question. Are you an employee or are you a creator of real estate investment opportunities? How do you see yourself? How do you view yourself? Are you an employee or a small business owner? Are you a real estate investment opportunity giver, a creator of these opportunities? The person who's a creator of opportunities, business opportunities, must take responsibility to be successful. Now, in order to take responsibility, you need to focus on yourself. Forget about what others are doing. Forget about what others are thinking. Okay? I'll give you some examples here, okay? I want you to practice not caring what other people think about you. Now, this is kind of a weird thing, okay? It's an odd thing that I'm suggesting here. I want you to practice not caring what other people think. Now, you can take this to an extreme, and I want you to be careful with this. I don't want you to, I don't know, run around naked in your city. You'll get arrested, okay? I'm not saying that it's not important to be respectful of other people. What I am saying is that if your life is being ruled by other people's decisions and other people's beliefs and other people's desires and expectations of you, then you're not living with freedom in life. And I know the answer to this next question. Why did you get into real estate? Why are you interested in real estate? It's not because you want less freedom. It's because you want more freedom, right? Practice not caring about what other people think. Here's another way that you could do this. If somebody asks your opinion, give it without being apologetic at all. Now, Jarek, I really appreciate and respect Jarek for this way, okay? He speaks frankly. He speaks from his heart. If he thinks something, he'll tell you. And I really respect that about him, okay? A lot of North Americans struggle with that. Somebody asks us a question, we're like, oh, how are they going to feel? What are they going to feel about it? Well, learn to simply give your opinion without being apologetic. Now, again, you don't have to be rude in this. You don't have to say, somebody asks you how they look. You don't have to say, well, I hate your guts. No, that's not a proper answer to that question, okay? But at the same time, listen, if somebody asks your opinion, give it. You don't have to be apologetic if they asked for it, right? That's a very difficult thing to do. It's also a difficult thing to say no if somebody asks you to do something for them without giving a reason, the reason for why you're not doing it, okay? Why did I pick this picture? I've got this arrow pointing in one direction and this goldfish running or swimming in the other direction. Why is this? Because when you start taking responsibility for your actions, you are going to be very different than people around you. Very different. Think about the last time you watched an owner of a sports team or a business person or a government official, like a president or a prime minister or something like that, and they did something wrong. And when they're asked about it, they blame everyone else. They blame everyone else, everything else. Well, it was this person's fault and this person did this. How much respect do you have for those people? How much respect do you have for people like that have said something like that and you're like, are you kidding me? Everyone knows you did it. Just admit it. Now, how much respect do you have for people who are different, who say, you know what? I did something wrong. I take full responsibility for this. I'm going to change and do something better. Think about this even in your own family. When your kid or your spouse or partner or family member or friend says, you know what? I messed up. I'm going to change it and get better. When somebody says that to me, I say to myself, I go, wow, this is a person that I want to be with. And guess what? Everyone else, when you take responsibility for your actions, is going to say the same thing. They're going to be saying, wow, Jarek, Mark, I want to be with this person because they're different than everyone else. Nobody wants to be the same as everyone else. We think we do. We don't want to be the same as everyone else. Okay, so I'm going to give you an odd action step today. And I actually only have one for you. Okay? But it's a big concept, and as you start to practice this, it's a very, very specific way, practical way you can start learning responsibility in your own life. Are you ready? This is an idea from William James. So William James is one of the first psychiatrists or psychologists in North America. He came from the US, very famous. He's called the father of American psychology in many places, okay? And he's got a really interesting story. He goes through a lot of different aspects, and I'm not going to go into his whole story here, but I'll tell a little bit of it. Basically, William James was a failure at everything. Everything. He was a failure at everything. He was having horrible results. His dad wanted him to do this business or this thing, and he would try it and then fail at it or drop out or whatever. He always had excuses. He always had reasons. But he kept on failing at things. Now, he came to a point in his life where he decided he was going to, he made a choice that he was going to take 100% responsibility for everything that occurred in his life. I'm going to repeat that. William James made a choice to take 100% responsibility for everything that occurred in his life. Now, does that mean that everything was his fault? Or that the whole world depended on William James, that nothing else could happen outside of what he was making choices? No, that doesn't mean that. What it does mean is that he was going to take responsibility for it. And because he took responsibility for it, he was able to make changes if he could. Any changes that he could, he would make. What he committed to was he would do everything in his power to change his circumstances. So that doesn't mean changing the economy. What it does mean is changing how much real estate you own and what kind of price you got it for and how it's financed so that you can make money no matter what the economy does. He became the father of American psychology, became one of the greatest philosophers of North American history. Here's the lesson. Here's the lesson. You are responsible for everything in your life. You are responsible, not your wife, not your husband, not your kids, not your parents, not the economy, not your finances, not your time. You are responsible for what you get out of real estate investing, regardless of the circumstances. You don't control what happens to you. You don't. And I'm not saying you do. I'm not saying we're all little gods governing all things, okay? But you do control how you interpret what happens and how you respond. What do I mean by that? You don't control what happens to you, but you do control how you interpret what happens and how you respond. You can control how you interpret what happens to you. Some people, when the economy turns down, they in real estate investing, they go, oh no, the economy is going down, I'm hooped. Another investor, a more intelligent investor, a more experienced investor will say, yes, fantastic. The economy is going down. There are going to be some great deals coming up on the market. That's a different way of interpreting things. And how you respond. So the market turns down. One way of responding is I need to talk to everyone I know that is potentially willing to invest in property because now is the time to do it. So I'm going to call everyone. You call everyone you know in the next 2 weeks and you talk to everyone. You set up coffee meetings with them and you challenge them. This is the time to invest. Are you willing to invest now? This is where you're going to make your money. That's somebody who responds. So you are in control of how you interpret and how you respond. Choosing not to interpret circumstances, again, I said this before, so choosing not to interpret circumstances or not make a decision is a response. You're always going to be responding. The question is, how are you going to respond? We are always choosing everything that we are faced with, basically. Now, you might have a really strong opinion about this. You might be a little bit riled up. You might have a red face and be swearing at Mark right now. Okay, that's fine. Communicate with Jarek. Communicate with me about this, and we'll help you out in some ways. Okay. Here's the action step. This is what William James did. For a year, what he did was every night he would write. He kept a journal. Now you don't have to do it in the same way. Maybe you do this in a video journal, though. This would be such a great gift to give to somebody else. A year of you struggling with your own responsibility and then giving it to somebody else to say, hey, listen, I struggled with it. Look through a few of these, maybe your kid or a grandchild or whatever, and see if they can learn from it, okay? What he did was every night he would write in his journal what happened to him, and then he asked himself, what could I have done differently? And this is the question. It's not important that you write in a journal or whatever else. You can do what works for you best. And journaling is a good thing. But the most important thing is you ask yourself this question. What happened to me today? And then what could I have done? Not could I have done. What could I have done? There's a very big difference in these questions. If you ask, could I have done anything else? then emotionally your mind will say, no, I'm good, I'm perfect, I'm better than other people, because we like to compare ourselves to other people. I couldn't have done anything better. But when you ask yourself, what could I have done? You're assuming that there's an answer to that question that you could have done better in some way. Now listen, and I learned this. I've lived in Sweden for a couple of years. I lived in China for 8 years. I've traveled around the world. I've been to a lot of different places. I've spoken with a lot of different people groups. I speak at events with people that are 70 and 80 years old, as well as people that are about 10 and 12 years old. Okay, so I've got a wide range of experience of connecting with people. And what I've discovered is that it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you're from. There are many, many, many ways to do everything that you do. When I first went to Sweden, my first idea was, man, Swedish people do everything wrong because they were doing it different than me. As I started to learn more, though, I realized, wait a second, the things that these people are doing in Sweden work. They work. And some of them are great ideas. And then I started to realize, wait a second, some of them are better than what we do in where I'm from. Okay? That's fantastic when you start to realize that. But realize that there are many ways. We've got this idiom, right? There are many ways to skin a cat. There are many ways to get results in life. The key is not to find the one perfect thing that worked for one person. That's not the thing. What you need to realize is that there are many ways to grow and many ways to learn. And if something didn't work for you, ask yourself, what could I have done differently? And realize that I'm sure that there are probably 4 or 5 things you could have done differently. I'm going to tell you a quick story, okay? Because this kind of brings it home for me. A little while back, I arrived late to a webinar. I was on for a live webinar with a couple of friends of mine and business partners, and I was late for it. Now, did I get stuck in traffic? Yes, I did get stuck in traffic. Is that why I was almost late for the webinar? No, it wasn't. I could have taken preparation before that by leaving my earlier meeting first. So if I had said in my earlier meeting, I need to go now, and then I left, it wouldn't have mattered if I got stuck in traffic. I would still be there with lots of time left. Or I could have planned that meeting at a completely different time or day. Or I could have had it in a different place. I could have had it next door so it was easy to get over to my office. I could have done many things to change that situation. Maybe you have a disagreement with somebody. Maybe a deal goes wrong. Okay, maybe you're negotiating something, or you're negotiating with something with a tenant, and the tenant gets angry with you, and you're like, oh, what else could I have done? If you ask yourself that question honestly, you'll realize, oh, wait a second, I could have asked them a few other questions about what they're going through right now. I didn't. I was focused on the property, and maybe they didn't feel cared about in this situation. So what could I have done differently? Maybe next time I'm going to give them a little gift at Christmas, or I could develop a not friendship with all your tenants, but a relationship, sure, a good working business relationship. What could you have done differently? Not even in the moment, but maybe even beforehand. When you start asking yourself this question every single day, for a year, your life will change. William James credits his massive change in success from somebody who was a chronic failure to somebody who became a great philosopher and the father of American psychology. Someone who went from no success to a huge amount of success. He attributes everything to learning this lesson. You are responsible for everything in your life. So again, the question, write this down. If you haven't written this down, write this down. What could I have done that would have changed the outcome? What could I have done to make the outcome better? What could I have done to change my results? Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Take the webinar camera off here. Anything from you, Jarek? What are your thoughts?
I'm speechless.
You know what? This is something that I find fascinating. My kids struggle with this, right? And people struggle with this in general. It's our lesson. It's our duty, I think, in many ways, to teach people this and to teach ourselves this. Because when we start doing it, we start to realize, oh, I do have control. I'm not a horrible person. I don't have to. Some people think that when they take responsibility, they have to say they're a horrible person. We don't.
No.
Simply say, hey, listen, what could I have done differently? Now let's put 2 more offers on the next deal so I get it, or whatever.
Honestly, Mark, with all the respect, every presentation what we are doing is, like you cannot implement 100% of every presentation. You cannot implement all the ideas right away, implement into your lifestyle. Reason being, as you are a human being, you have, ups and downs and everything. However, as you mentioned, right, by being implementing your suggestions on regular basis as a human being, doesn't matter real estate related or not, will make your life better. That's what I can assure everybody who is watching and listening that presentation. Simple as that. So, and that's my honest answer.
Good. I trust you for your honesty. I never doubt it.
Be in control, right? Try to be in the control, right? So. Our answer, Mark's and my answer, and every team member, which quite a lot of them, is more likely being honest with yourself, being honest with everybody surrounding you, right? Simple, right? Yeah. And on top of it, I'm always saying that, like you have to take an action, you have to be responsible for yourself, and the priority is what? Your family, right? Okay, yeah. You live, you interact, you do whatever you want to do it. Is for your family to make them feel safe, comfortable for the retirement guys. And, taking an action is the priority. It doesn't matter small steps or big steps. You jump in the water or you do crazy stuff. It's up to you guys, right? So, Mark, thank you very much for uplifting me on this time. After this presentation, I'm again, like energetic, and how energetic I don't know if I can get more energetic than that.
But you're someone who doesn't struggle with energy. That's true.
Perfect. So Mark, thank you very much. Guys, do reach out to Mr. Mark on regular basis. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Doesn't matter if you will listening to this presentation live or recorded podcast or anywhere else. Reach out to us, Mark Frentz. And what's your website?
It's my name, so markfrentz.com.
Simple as that. Thank you very much, Mark, and looking forward for interacting and learning in person. And being your friend is so much privilege, and I am so glad. And everybody else should be your friend. Entire world should be your friend, but cannot happen, right? So as long as the small circle of influence and friends which are taking an action, don't hesitate to reach out.
Have a great one.